is like the congressional sex tape. You know, this is right in line with the.
Remember that?
Look,
how could I forget?
Can I just pause? I don't know the statute of limitations is on that, but I sure hope Dan and Cash go after those guys.
Absolutely.
Lock
that was
them
a
up.
disgrace.
Remember, they said they
to this
didn't do anything
country.
wrong. They
Well, we don't even
investigated.
know we know who the front one was. We don't know who the other one was. The one who was holding the camera.
Let me just pause real quick.
Yeah.
Just for the context. For those that don't know, a video leaked in the Senate building of two men. Let's just call it
Loving each other.
offending God.
Yeah, that's better. That's what
Better.
it was.
Yes.
Offending God.
Yeah. And it's not a gay thing.
And
It's
the
just like
founders.
any, you know,
And the founders.
I'm talking about premarital relations.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
Good way to
yes.
spin that.
There you go.
Engaged in activities that would justify
I
God
think-
destroying the whole city.
I called it making the baby Jesus cry last time.
They were doing what the Senate does to America.
Yeah.
Just on the Senate floor.
So
I mean, I know that I
again,
sound-
okay, right? Just
they do to us every day.
Move on from this and stop making puns. No one ever got held accountable. There's a guy got fired.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I want criminal accountability for people who are breaking the law.
Yeah.
So, okay, back to the NSA weird exposed chats that are really disturbing, and you wish you didn't read if you do.
Remember when
This is
things like
this is why Elon Musk's emails are so important, and why it's so important that Doge go in and figure out what these people are doing, because I don't think people realize it's not just about giving money to charities that make no sense. When someone, if you go out in the middle of the street in Times Square and say, should we be funding gender studies in Pakistan? Most people are going to say no. Okay, now what if you said, should we be funding the employment of people who use work time to talk about their weird kinks and putting things in their, you know what? And they're going to be like, no! Why are we paying for that? Fire them all.
Dude, I said it's the least surprising thing because the government is so depraved. Last night on my show, we talked about how the government funded kids in foster care to be experimented on and feeding them radioactive oatmeal.
God.
Just to see what went down. And we've also secretly given kids AIDS like medicine that they didn't know they were taking. Like we experiment on children with our tax dollars all the time. This is just like an offshoot of how depraved we are.
I mean, there are dark and sinister forces operating behind the scenes that people don't want to believe is true.
Yeah, it's
You
everywhere.
know, it is remarkable how there's that joke about what's the difference between the news and a conspiracy theory, 6 months.
Yeah.
Right.
But the reality is, I mean, you look at the JFK stuff. It was fringe lunacy to say anything other than, what happened. Now we're at the point where former Congressman Ron Paul sitting on a podcast be like, it was CIA. And then we're hanging out with RFK Jr. It's like, the CIA killed my family. And it's like, now it's just publicly mainstream believed.
Completely. Yeah, 100%.
That's why I'm
Nobody
happy we
thinks
have
that.
Now, I do think Cash's position was that it wasn't.
Interesting.
And he's like, I've seen all the documents. He's like, you'll see.
Interesting.
Yeah.
This is why I'm happy we have a prolific conspiracy theorist in the FBI now. Because he's going to, I hope, expose a lot of this stuff.
But, the funny thing about it is they call him a conspiracy theorist. And I'm just like, uh-huh. It doesn't
That's a good thing.
It doesn't
At
mean
this
he's
point,
wrong.
yeah.
It doesn't mean he's
Right.
wrong.
If
Right.
you're not being called a conspiracy theorist or far right or some of these names, then you're not doing good anymore.
Have you seen
Period.
that comedy bit from that? I don't know the guy's name. It's a viral bit, and he's like, you guys really don't believe in conspiracy theories? Like, I can understand.
Ron
not-
Funches.
Is that what it was? He's like, I can understand not believing all of them, but not even one. Like, you think the government's just betting 1,000? And he's like, I'm going to lighten the language for the family-friendly show. But he goes, look, the government is tasked with looking over all of its people. I've got one son. I'm tasked with looking over him, and I lie to him all the time. It's so
Listen to
good.
that members only.
I
release.
remember
So
that's
good.
Such a great bit.
But he's right.
Totally
So
right.
when they're like, Dan Bongino's a conspiracy theorist, and I'm like, good.
Yeah.
Because, hold on, let's just pause for a minute. If you're in the FBI and someone comes to you and says, Deputy Director, I have these photos of these two men. They met in a parking garage carrying bags. And when they left, they're carrying different bags. Now, I think, because if you follow this guy, he works for this pharmaceutical company. And this guy, he doesn't seem to have a job. Now, I think what's happening is, imagine if the deputy director wasn't a conspiracy theorist. And he goes, whoa, you think two guys who went to a parking garage and traded bags, you think there's crime there? You're a conspiracy theorist. Nothing happened.
Right.
And imagine a deputy director like Dan, he's going to be like, interesting. It looks like a crime may have been committed, but let's move if we have probable cause, not just assume the bag. So you want someone in law enforcement to actually be able to connect dots and seek out probable cause should there be, or find the probable cause should there be any,
Right.
or a preponderance of evidence should there be any.
A synonym for conspiracy theorist is historian. You just know your history. Like read the book Chaos, read the book Poisoner in Chief.
That is really funny to point out that literally all of history is conspiracies.
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
Like the founding fathers were engaged in a conspiracy.
Yeah.
Imagine it's 1769 or whatever, and you're like in the Revolutionary War, and then you're running around going like, a group of Americans are trying to overthrow the crown. They're getting together and have these meetings where they're trying to form their own governments. They're like, calm down, buddy. You're nuts. It's like, no, trust me, I'm telling you. Right. You go to Britain and you're like, I'm telling you, they're going to create their own country and they're going to call it America, but that's just the name of the continent. They're going to be like, yeah, buddy, no one's
all
overthrowing
Englishmen. You can't. We'll never not be Englishmen. Just because we're here doesn't mean we're not Englishmen.
America is founded on conspiracies.
Well, but also like think about the nature of what a conspiracy theory is and what the phrase is intending to do.
Right.
They're trying to tell you when they call you a conspiracy theorist, they're trying to say your ideas are improbable or absurd.
Yeah.
That's not just about whether two people got together in secret to make a criminal plan. Throughout history, we are rife with moments where people didn't believe a thing was going to happen. And then it did. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.